All right, nothing is more cringeworthy than making a video, saving it, and accidentally deleting it right afterwards. So let's just do this again really quickly. Let's try to do this under 5 minutes. I can do that. All right, guys. So I spoke a little bit about the folding at home project yesterday in Biochem. Um, but I had some people message me a bit after that and basically saying that they were a bit confused about the project, what it is, and just in general what the heck this thing is all about. So let me just quickly just go ahead and explain it and just knock out some of the confusing points. So number one, let's go ahead and just get the program first. So if you just go ahead and Google folding at home, you'll be brought to their website. When you click on it, you'll get a really bright orange welcome. And basically what the project is instead of having a supercomputer in some physical location that's doing all these computing, all that computation, you could take the individual computers that everyone owns and essentially aggregate a supercomputer. And that's really what this program is all about. You know, everyone gets assigned a job, they complete it, they send the results of that job back, and designers are basically able to utilize that information somehow. And this is all part of the COVID Moonshot collaboration, which is explained here. There's a really cool trailer that I think you guys should watch. It's a minute, and it basically they basically picked out the highlights, some CEOs that are well known within the tech industry. If you scroll down, you could actually see a 1 minute clip of each of them and like a med student just talking about the program itself. But the COVID Moonshot project, I'll leave a link in this in a Google Doc that I created for everyone. That just basically explains what it is. So it basically is a pro bono initiative. 4,500 drug designs were made. Of these, about 300 were synthesized, and they're now being tested against viral proteins. So I think that's amazing. So that's there for you to read. I'll include that right there. What else is there? What else do I need to explain? Okay, let's go ahead and get the software for the computer. So when you're on the homepage, go to the top of the page, go take me home. You could also do /home on the address bar. Just go ahead and click on start folding. And the web page will automatically detect which OS you're on. Here, it's detecting them in Mac OS. It definitely pops up for Windows as well. If you're a Linux user, you go ahead and get that link here as well. It's a really straightforward install. I actually installed it on my Windows machine, but I'll just show you really quickly. When you go ahead and, where did I put it? I think it's here. If you go ahead and just install it, just go through the recommended settings and you're all set. What that looks like, Mac user as well. Let's see, it'll basically look like this. You could find troubleshooting for your OS on the website. Just go to support and FAQ, and along the right panel, you could see some information that's there. When you do install the software on your computer, whether that's Mac OS or Windows, you'll be prompted to a screen that looks like this. You could just go ahead and choose set up identity and start folding, and I'll show you what that looks like here. When you install the program, in addition to a client that it downloads, which I'll explain in a second, it opens a web page, and the web page just makes it a little bit easier to set up for the first time. So when you're on the web page, you're going to see on here it says anonymous for you, or if you set an identity, you could go ahead and change that here and edit that here as well. I chose to be identified with the work that my computer does, so I just went ahead and put my name. The team number that I created for our cohort is 267034. I would ideally like to change the name going forward and include other cohorts in the coming weeks. But for now, let's just go ahead and keep this to July for now. Some other things that I would recommend that you do in addition to choosing these two things is request a passkey. So I actually didn't do this, so I will be able to do that in a bit. So let me just explain what this is. So essentially what this does is once you complete these sections and get a passkey, you'll be emailed a really long string of like numbers and letters. So you go ahead and put that here. It basically just serves as a password for you to claim the points as your own. So because I started a project prior to requesting a passkey, I need to wait basically 5 days for this to complete in order for these points to be associated with my basically account. And then I didn't create the group until like maybe 18 hours after I created my account. So I'm not sure whether or not these points, whatever the difference between these points are, I'm not sure that difference will be included in the Geisinger group. I hope. If not, I mean, it's not a bad thing. The points are really not necessary in terms of participating in this project. It's really just the computing power that you're able to offer. So that being said, some things to explain. You really don't need to know too much about here. Really, most of us will just need to be able to set this full blast and set it when idle. So let me just explain this really quickly. I would imagine for most of us, if you just have one system that you want to dedicate to the project, I would keep this at full or medium and select only when idle. So what this means is that if you're actively using a computer like I am right now, it's going to be paused. But let's say you move away or at nighttime when you're done for the day, it'll just go ahead and start doing its thing. If you have a dedicated machine like I do, I'm just going to go ahead and just, again, either medium or full while working. So it just constantly works. And I'll pause it after this job is done. So what I'll actually do is if you start a project, you could actually choose to finish up, then stop. So it'll work on this for the 5 days and it'll basically stop. I think that's pretty useful if you want to determine maybe like the energy cost of participating in this project. So notice that although you are using your computer, it is pretty energy intensive depending what settings you have. So I would just monitor that and determine whether or not you want to go forward with this in the long term. So I have everything set on full. As you can see, I just want to show you the CPU and GPU usage of the program. You really don't need to know this, but for those of you who are a bit more technical, this might be beneficial. So I've studied full, I have a 4-core system. It will always use 1 core less than the maximum that you have. So you could see it's just chugging along. Like it is just like you don't hear it, but I hear it and it is loud. So I'm gonna have to work on cooling, a better cooling solution. But as you can see, you'll see this bar basically progressing back and forth. Notice I was a little bit confused as to what these bars are, but basically what this is, it's telling you how much of your CPU you're using, and this is telling you the progress of like the sub job that you've been provided. But as you can see here, like although the CPU is really what's being used, GPU not so much, right? So if you want to read more about CPU and GPU bounds and like how that works, you could read that here. But even here, it's basically explaining that these are CPU intensive tasks. So that's that. And that's really, for those of you who just want to plug and play, that's really all you need to know. For the more technical users, there are a couple of things that I want to explain, and that's within the client. So one useful feature that's within the client that I think that everyone should utilize is this pause button. I'm not sure why they don't have a pause button on the web client itself. But I mean, guys, just add that to your web client. One important thing to know is that the web page does not need to be open for you to participate to the program. So if I were to close this, I still have the client open and it's still running and functioning normally. So you must have the client open in your computer. And this is really beneficial for those of you who are maybe just have one system and you just want to dedicate that system. That can be useful if you need to quickly pause and do something else. Another really cool thing to do, oh, please, the theme, yes, like you'll have a default theme, which I think is okay, but I mean, I think dark moding everything always looks better. I'll just leave that for now. Again, for the more technical users, within configure, if you have multiple CPUs and GPUs within your system and you want to dedicate particular hardware, you could go ahead and do that here within the slots. So basically, I went to configure and slots. If you want to run through a proxy, you can do that here. For everyone else, if you're using a laptop and it's the laptop you're also working on, I would ensure to make sure this is checked. What that means is basically if you're on battery power, it will pause the task. Otherwise, it'll just keep going. And there's some other things that are here for the more advanced users. And the last thing that I want to show within the client is the viewer. And I think this is the coolest thing ever. It basically has like this really awesome lava lamp sort of effect if you were to leave it open. And a second, okay, good. Yeah, so it basically shows like I guess the simulations for the protein task that you're currently working on. So I've seen this change a couple times, and you may actually notice that as well. Like for example, this project may change slightly. I'm sure that there's some sort of algorithm in the background that determines which computer should be working in what. So I'm just going to leave everything as it is. I'm just really concerned about this. So I'm actually going to change this later to finish up and stop just to get a good idea of how this looks. So now let's look at some additional information on here, like the teams. So you get some specific team information here. You guys are now going to see this, so this should be populated with more users later, and we'll have a grand score at some point that'll be really cool to refer to. If you want to look at other teams that are ranked for the month, you can see a bunch of pretty well-known names on this rank list. Like here's Linus Tech Tips. I saw a couple of universities on here too. I saw UC Berkeley, saw Microsoft on here as well. And then there's Rutgers. So it'll be really cool if you got on this list. I really want to get on this list. And if you actually crunch the numbers, so if you're in the client, this will fluctuate during the day. But if I were to just basically not do anything, I've seen this number go up to about 60,000. So if you basically do that number multiplied by 30, all right, and divide it by this, you would have a lot of months to complete a project. Divide that by 12. I think it worked out to about 4 years. If I and you all, so there are 80 of us, if all 80 of us had the same amount of workload of 60,000 per day, it'll take us about 4 years to theoretically get on this list. And I'm hoping my math is wrong, but that also seems very plausible as well. So just know that. That's why I would say let's just do this for our own group. So definitely join our group. The code is 267034, and I'll have that available in a Google Doc, which I made here. It just has some really quick information, just a quick intro. I referred to 2 articles that were useful for me to be convinced that I wanted to participate in the project. I included some videos on here on introducing the project and Linus building his supercomputer and just completely destroying the ranks. Ranting line, train of thought, where is it? I also found a Reddit forum, which may be useful for us going forward. I don't think we'll encounter too many issues, but if we do, just let me know. I'll put this in the discussion board for biochem and maybe in our group chat. And if any information comes on, I'll try to keep everything to one page, but I'll go ahead and supplement if need be. This video I'll include here. If you're just looking at this for the first time, you're like, okay, Ryan, you're talking too much. Just give me what I need to know. Watch this video first and refer back to the sheet. So that basically does the same exact thing. And yeah, that's pretty useful. I don't think I've showed you this second article. I briefly mentioned it, but I'll have this linked as well. You can find this in the news section, either in the on the web page or also on our Google Doc. And it basically just talks about the dinosaur, the Demogorgon spike protein that basically interacts with the AC2 angiotensin converting enzyme on human cells. And with that binding, that's basically how the virus enters human cells. And ultimately, if you were able to inhibit that process, potentially you may have some sort of cure. So I thought that was really interesting. From my understanding, we're also going to be discussing this spike protein as well in class. So if anything is pertaining to this project with that, then we could definitely add that to the Google Doc sheet. And yeah, definitely recommend reading on the enzyme itself. And there's some other information that's on here. I don't really think that they'll be necessary for like the average user who's going to participate in this. Like there's some information on the codiaces that are like involved in COVID. I haven't looked too much in detail on this, but if it becomes pertinent, I'll go ahead and add that to the sheet as well. So yeah, so that's all. That's really all that there is to it. I'll leave this be. The Google Sheet I've already sent to you guys. I'll upload this video on here so you can refer to it. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll check on this maybe weekly, monthly, figure out how things are going. And hopefully we are able to extend this project to other cohorts for this year. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, qualms of any sort, let me know. All right, cool. Peace out, guys.